Hi everyone. In this video, we will be looking at transform plate boundaries. Okay, remember there are three types of plate boundaries: divergent, convergent, and transform. In a divergent boundary, the two plates are moving away from each other. In a convergent boundary, the two plates are moving toward each other. And in a transform plate boundary, we see something a little different. Here, if you go ahead and look at this picture on the side, the two plates aren't moving away or toward each other. The two plates are moving side by side. Okay, you could say that they are sliding past each other. Okay, notice that when you look at the diagram, you see one arrow is moving up, the other arrow is moving down, but they're just rubbing up against each other. They're just moving side by side and moving in opposite directions. It's kind of like if you just take your hands and put them against each other and just move them side by side. Okay. At transform plate boundaries, at all plate boundaries, we do have a lot of earthquakes, okay, but specifically transform plate boundaries is where we get our source of earthquakes in California. Okay, you may have heard of the San Andreas Fault. That is a transform plate boundary. We have one piece of Earth's crust moving up, the other piece of Earth's crust moving down, and as they slide past each other, you get an earthquake. Let's fill in our notes for transform plate boundaries. Okay, for a transform plate boundary, remember, and let's fill this in, the plates are moving side by side, sliding past each other. What it creates? Well, at a transform plate boundary, we call it a fault. Like the San Andreas Fault in California. In this diagram, okay, we might have one piece of crust moving up and another piece of crust moving down. The key here is that you see the arrows moving kind of like side by side, but in different directions. So just like we did with with convergent and divergent, let's look at transform plate boundaries on ESRT page 5. Okay. If you have a third highlighter or a third different colored pencil, please get that now so that you can color in the transform plate boundaries with a third new color. Okay, first thing first is to look at the key. What is the symbol for a transform plate boundary? It's down here. I'm highlighting this in blue now. And we can see the key, the symbol is two arrows kind of on top of each other, moving in different directions, sliding past each other. Kind of just looks like two cars on the road moving in opposite directions. Let's find some of these transform plate boundaries. Let's find as many as we can and highlight over them. I see one in the corner over here. Again, our two arrows, like two cars moving in opposite directions, moving past each other on the road. I see a little one here. If I go up to the United States, we just mentioned the San Andreas Fault is here. Okay. The San Andreas Fault is a type of transform plate boundary in California. There is another one in the Caribbean, down here near Haiti and the Dominican Republic. And the last spot that I see some transform plate boundaries are near the bottom of South America. Down here, there seems to be 3 transform boundaries. Okay, that's all for today in this video on transform boundaries. Thanks for following along.